everyone, and welcome to the Boston Trackside Q&A video. For the past 2 weeks, I have opened a question and answer forum for you all to ask questions about me, and in this video, I will be answering your questions. Without further ado, let's get started. Question 1. 1637 or 1137? Please explain the war. I low-key kinda forgot to ask you something. Also, if that question sucks, what's your favorite Southside spot? Okay, so here is the war with 1137 and 1637. 1137 has always been my favorite Jeep because I love the paint scheme and it always looks super clean. 1137 is also special to me because the first ever readbo switcher that I saw ran with 1137 as power. However, when I heard that there was still a CTC-1B in operable condition, that being 1637, I really wanted to see it, and given the rumors that it would be on the Polar Express, I became hopeful. But after the most boring Polar Express contest in the history of the world, I lost hope of seeing it. But I still like 1137. So basically, I have always enjoyed seeing 1137 and had a brief obsession with 1637, but those two likings are unrelated. As for my favorite south side spot for rail fanning, either Mansfield, Framingham, or Worcester. It really depends on the day and what is running in each spot. Mansfield has 160-mile-an-hour Amtrak trains and one CSX local. Framingham has Horn Zones, Amtrak Lakeshore Limited, and more CSX. And Worcester has CSX, Norfolk Southern container trains, and potential Providence and Worcester. The problem with Worcester is that it's a lot further than the other two, which is the trade-off. Next question. I heard Reading once had 2 tracks but only has 1 now. Why? Reading is super unique because of how obvious the second track used to be. There's even a second platform for it. From looking online, I couldn't really find a definitive date and reason for why the second track disappeared, but I assume it was because of less traffic on the line and probably around the time when the line from Reading to Wilmington Junction was abandoned. My guess is that the MBTA rebuilt the platforms when there was only 1 track, but rebuilt the second one in anticipation of a second track. But clearly the second track never came to be, leaving us with this very strange layout. However, the MBTA plans to eventually rebuild the second track through the station to allow for every half-hour service from Reading to Boston. I'm not sure if that will actually end up happening, but at least the MBTA is trying to rebuild the second track. Next question. Catch the Downeaster at the new Fields Crossing. Well, I think you filled out the wrong form because that sounds more like a video request to me. And also, I don't know where this crossing is, so if someone could let me know, that would be great. What's your favorite train? Well, this is a very broad question, but my favorite train that I have seen was the MBTA and CSX Geometry train, and the train I'd want to see most would probably be the CSX Office Car Special with the CSX F40s. A lot of CSX, I know. Would you like if CSX made a return on the Grand Junction? Absolutely yes. It's very annoying to have to go out far west to places like Ayr or Worcester or Framingham just to see any kind of freight train. So if CSX ran closer to the city, that would be awesome. What is your favorite of the 12 commuter rail lines? Probably the Fitchburg line. It runs through a lot of interesting areas with some really unique stations, and the Ayr area has a lot of interesting freight trains, which is good for me as a foamer. What is your favorite MBTA subway line? The Red Line. It has a variety of rolling stock and historic stations and is generally very interesting to ride on. What do you think of Trains of Cambridge? Is he the king of the Grand Junction? What's your favorite station? My favorite MBTA station is Boylston because it's really interesting and historic, with those old streetcars on display. Have you seen a Phase 4? No, and as far as I'm aware, there's only one Phase 4 Amtrak P42, that being number 164. 164 is not access equipped and therefore cannot lead on MBTA territory. The only way it could get here would be if it trailed on the Lakeshore Limited, so it's unlikely I will see Phase 4 around here. Favorite MBTA commuter rail line and station outside of downtown? As previously mentioned, my favorite commuter rail line is the Fitchburg line, and my favorite station outside of downtown is Reedville because of its super unique track layout, and it's also quite good for rail fanning. Favorite F40 model even if you've never seen it before, and what's your opinion on the Rolling Stock Solutions leased F40PH-4Cs? Being a recent rail fan, I have only ever seen MBTA F40PH-3Cs, but based on videos of older models, my favorite F40 model has to be the Mastot F40PH-2Cs. As for the Rolling Stock Solutions 4Cs, well, I guess they're kind of reliable for MBTA standards, probably more reliable than the Rochester rebuilt Jeeps. But I also remember when 1002 went on a test run to Lincoln and didn't even make it past Belmont before it had to get towed back to Boston. So yeah, the 4Cs are not super reliable, but they're not super unreliable either. As a filmer, I like them since they add more variety, but in terms of reliability, I guess they're okay. Can you attach a document with a calendar to your channel so we can see what the next video is at all times? Unfortunately, I don't really want to because my video schedule changes a lot based on various circumstances, so I feel like it wouldn't be of much use anyway. What is your opinion on 1116? Well, I'm glad you asked. Okay, so back when I didn't know much about Boston rail fanning, I decided one day to go out onto the Grand Junction on a Sunday to try my luck with the Reedville Switcher. And sure enough, the Switcher showed up with this big, beautiful blue locomotive which I had never seen before. Aside from getting my ears downright assaulted by 1137's horn, I loved seeing it. So every Sunday, I would go and camp out on the Grand Junction, and I saw 1137 a few more times, even seeing PNLX 2107 trailing on one of the moves. I loved going and seeing the switcher. But then one day I went, and this time, the beautiful blue locomotive wasn't leading. Instead, it was GP40MC 1116. At first I thought, well, it's good to have some variety, isn't it? But the 1116 kept showing up on the switcher and I began to get bored of it, and then I started to hate it. 1116 is just completely mid. It looks mid, its horn is mid, it has an E-bell. It's mid in every aspect you could think of. And that made me hate it so much that I marked down the day when it would have been 90 days since the first time it led the switcher. So it would have to go in for its 90-day inspection, and hopefully something else would replace it. And finally, the 90th day came, and guess what showed up? 3248 led the switcher. I was so happy that it wasn't 1116, but I thought it would probably be coming back soon because it was just in for routine inspection, right? Well, I was wrong, because a period of pure chaos on the Reedville switcher followed 1116's disappearance, with PNLX 2107 taking a spin with the longest and foamiest contest I have ever seen on the switcher, one-way moves with HSB 46s leading, and even an extremely cursed one-way move with just one singular HSB 46. 1117 took a turn but it broke down pretty quickly, but the switcher finally found solid ground with the Cranberry 1129, which has been running this switcher job since early December. So long story short, 1116 made an interesting train boring. And yes, I know that the railroad will do what's best for the railroad and not what's best for foamers, but I still hate 1116. Also, I have not seen 1116 since the end of August. Does anyone know where on earth it is? Maybe it suffered some really bad engine failure and is taking a while to repair. If anyone knows, please let me know in the comments. But yeah, that's my opinion on 1116. What is your next video? My next video will be trains from a quick visit to Framingham on Wednesday the 21st, and MBTA work extras explained on Sunday the 25th. What is your next video idea, obviously after the one covering these questions? I already mentioned my upcoming videos, but some ideas I have for future videos are about the bottleneck on the old colony lines, or maybe a video about Harvard Station. I'm also starting to work on a big new series, but I won't spoil that for you yet. Don't expect it too soon because it'll require a lot of work. Do you own any model trains? Yes, but they're tiny and unpowered, and I don't have any tracks for them. They're Japanese trains that I got a while back. Model trains are cool, but they seem a bit too expensive to be worth it. I prefer going out and seeing real ones. With that, we conclude this video. Thanks for watching, and special thanks for those who submitted questions. I'll see you in the next one.